On the front lines of the Donetsk region, horrifying footage once again demonstrates the brutality of the ongoing war. Russian troops in open terrain are not only easy targets for Ukrainian attacks, but also victims of the brutality of their own commanders. In the video captured by the Vidar FPV drone unit of the 60th Separate Mechanized Brigade in Donetsk, a group of Russian soldiers is clearly seen being forced into open ground without cover, not by their own courage, but by the coercive orders of their superiors. However, in this dramatic footage, what they don't know is that in the sky, waiting for the keen eye of a watchdog, a Ukrainian FPV drone ready to strike with deadly precision. The Vidar operator calmly controls the flight path, aiming at the target with undeniable accuracy. Explosion after explosion follows. One by one, the Russian soldiers trapped in the open field are blown to pieces. They not only lost their lives to drone strikes, but also to the betrayal of their own commanders, who were willing to throw their men to their deaths. Rubble scattered, the fields turned into seas of destruction, and bodies strewn about are silent testimony to the insignificance of life for Russian commanders who prioritize orders without conscience. For Ukraine, this was more than a tactical victory. It was a form of justice on the battlefield. The Vidar FPV drones of the Donetsk Brigade once again demonstrated that technology, courage, and strategic precision can balance the balance against a vastly outnumbered occupying force. Donetsk is a testament. There is no safe haven for the Russian invaders. Justice on the front lines will always demand retribution. At the same time, in one of the footage showing a Ukrainian drone striking a bridge that Russian forces had reportedly mined north of the city of Kharkiv, just across the international border, the armed forces of Ukraine, AFU, have regained control of Novo-Mikhailivka in the Donetsk region, the Defense Ministry's main intelligence directorate, HUR, announced on Facebook. The operation was carried out by the HUR's Department of Active Operations, including the Artan unit, together with the 2nd Assault Battalion of the 3rd Assault Brigade, the AFU said. Our units expelled the occupiers and regained control over the settlement of Novo-Mikhailivka in the Donetsk region, according to intercepted communications. The operation caught the enemy by surprise. Russian forces lost roughly a company's worth of personnel and were forced to redeploy reserves from other sectors of the front, the statement said. As of now, Novo-Mikhailivka has been fully cleared of Russian troops and is under complete control of the Ukrainian army. Our flags are returning to where they rightfully belong, HUR said. State news outlet Ukrinform reported on Sunday that the AFU successfully counterattacked in the Donetsk region and liberated several other villages earlier in the weekend, including Mikhailivka, Zelenyi, and Volodymyrivka. Our troops have successfully counterattacked and cleared the villages of Mikhailivka, Zelenyi, and Volodymyrivka in the Donetsk region from the enemy, Ukrainian Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrsky wrote on social media. Meanwhile, the US-based think tank Institute for the Study of War, ISW, reported that Russian forces are making gains along Ukraine's northern border, citing geolocated footage published on Saturday, indicating that Russian forces recently advanced within central Vovchansk, northeast of the city of Kharkiv. Russian forces attacked near Zelene and Vovchansk over the weekend. Footage published last week shows a Ukrainian drone striking a bridge that Russian forces had reportedly mined near Krasny Khutor, north of the city of Kharkiv, just across the international border. At present, new report by the Saratoga Foundation argues Russia's rigid centralized system is no match for Ukraine's agile defense. Russia's early military failures in Ukraine were not a series of tactical blunders, but the systemic collapse of a political military machine, according to a new report from the Saratoga Foundation, a US-based think tank. Speaking to media, the report's author, Roger McDermott, explains how the conflict has become a clash between two fundamentally different military systems. The report, titled Fractured Strategy, A Systems View of Russia's Early Failure in Ukraine, argues that the Kremlin's decision to launch a special military operation, SMO, was a political fiction that stripped Russia's military of the fundamental tools needed for a large-scale conflict. This critical miscalculation led to cascading failures that undermined Russia's war effort from the outset. And the report details how Russia's central miscalculation led to a breakdown of its military machine. Its military doctrine, which relies on strategic surprise and synchronized action, was made impossible by the SMO framework. The world was tipped off by Western intelligence, the report states, denying Russia the element of shock. This was compounded by widespread logistical paralysis. The operational plan assumed a rapid advance, but supply chains were configured for a brief road march. This made them vulnerable to ambushes, creating choke points and stalling the offensive.
Пострел!
The military's command was also hyper-centralized, stifling initiative at the tactical level, a stark contrast to Ukraine's defense, which was empowered to adapt. The report concludes that Russia's early military failure was not anomalous, but unavoidable under the conditions it imposed upon itself, and also emphasizes that Ukraine's success was not accidental, it was systemic. Its armed forces, trained on NATO principles, exploited Russia's weaknesses with a deliberate and adaptive response. They empowered junior officers to make quick decisions, a decentralized approach that compressed their response time and allowed them to outmaneuver Russian units. Ukraine also achieved a decisive victory in the information domain, using transparent communication to garner international support. This was reinforced by a whole-of-society resistance, where civilians actively reported Russian troop movements and prepared their own defenses. The report concludes that Ukraine's success in weaponizing asymmetry was not accidental, it was systemic.
Пострел!